She gave a sandwich to a starving stranger. Years later, he gave her everything she'd ever dreamed of. Chapter 1. The Girl on the Bench. Maria Alvarez had always believed that kindness mattered, even when life didn't go her way, even when her bank account neared zero, even when the world seemed cold and distant, like it did that afternoon. The wind whipped through her worn-out hoodie as she sat on the bench outside the university library. Finals week was brutal. Her head ached from cramming. Her hands were numb from the cold. But what weighed heaviest on her heart wasn't school, it was everything else. Her mom had just started chemo back home in El Paso. Her last paycheck barely covered the month's rent, and she hadn't had a full meal in days. But today she allowed herself one treat. Her favorite sandwich, turkey and avocado from a food truck that parked behind the science building every Friday. She sat quietly, unwrapped it, and whispered, "You better be worth the $6, my friend." Just as she raised it to her lips, a shadow fell across the bench. She looked up. A man stood in front of her, mid-30s, thin, soaked from the rain. He wore a faded hoodie, jeans 2 sizes too big, and sneakers held together by duct tape. His beard was patchy, and his eyes looked lost. He didn't say anything, but his gaze fixed on the sandwich in her hands. She blinked. He shifted his weight nervously. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bother you," he mumbled. "I haven't eaten in a couple days. I just wondered if you had any change." Maria stared at him, the sandwich still hovering near her mouth. For a moment, her stomach raged with hunger. But then she looked again, really looked. This man wasn't pretending. He was starving, cold, invisible to the world. Without a word, she offered him the sandwich. He looked stunned. "Are you sure?" I'm broke," she said, but not heartless. He took it with shaking hands. As he unwrapped the sandwich, he looked up at her, eyes glassy. "No one's done anything kind for me in a long time." Maria smiled. "Well, maybe it's time someone did." They shared that bench silently for a few minutes, him eating gratefully, her soaking in the warmth of a small good deed. They never exchanged names. He finished the sandwich, thanked her quietly, and walked off into the rain. Chapter 2. Lost and Searching. Over the next few years, Maria lived a life of quiet struggle. She graduated, moved to Seattle, took internships, side gigs, temp jobs, anything to keep afloat. But nothing lasted. The economy was rough. Her resume lacked polish. And the grief of losing her mother shortly after graduation left a hole she didn't know how to fill. Still, she tried. She volunteered at shelters on weekends, read leadership books, taught herself Excel, Photoshop, public speaking, anything that might help. Her friends often asked, "Why do you still believe in people, after everything?" And she'd answer, "Because someone's got to." That same kindness that led her to give away her only sandwich stayed with her. It wasn't weakness. It was her strength. But even strength has limits. By her late 20s, Maria was close to giving up. Until one rainy morning, while sipping dollar store coffee and scrolling through job listings on a borrowed laptop, she saw it. Executive Assistant to CEO, MeridianTech Incorporated. Salary, competitive. Benefits, full. Mentorship program included. She didn't know what made her apply. Maybe desperation. Maybe faith. But within days, she received an email. "Your profile stood out. We'd like to invite you for a final interview." Maria reread the message 5 times. Could this finally be her moment? Chapter 3. The Office in the Sky. The MeridianTech headquarters looked like a spaceship, 40 floors of glass and steel, overlooking the Seattle skyline. Maria's hands trembled as she entered the lobby. She wore her one good blazer and shoes she had superglued the sole back onto. "Mr. Daniels will see you now," said the receptionist. She stepped into the elevator, took a breath, and rode to the 42nd floor. When the doors opened, she froze. The office was sleek, minimalist, flooded with light. A massive window looked out over the city, and at the center of it all sat a man behind a dark oak desk. He stood up and smiled. Maria. Her eyes widened. He looked familiar. Familiar in a life-pausing way. Then it clicked. The soaked hoodie. The trembling hands. The sandwich. "It's you," she whispered. He nodded. "You gave me your lunch when you had nothing, and it changed my life." Chapter 4. His story. He invited her to sit. "My name is Michael Daniels," he said. "And 7 years ago, I was homeless, addicted, hopeless." He told her everything. How he lost his job after a mental health crisis. How his family cut him off. How he ended up sleeping behind dumpsters and surviving on scraps. Until that day, your kindness gave me hope, he said. It reminded me that I wasn't invisible. He used that moment as fuel. He checked into a rehab shelter, got clean, took night classes at a community college, got a job at a tech repair shop, then started tinkering with apps. Years passed. He created a small startup. It exploded. And now, he was the founder and CEO of one of the fastest-growing tech firms in the Pacific Northwest. Maria sat stunned. Michael smiled. And I've been looking for you. I didn't know your name, but your face stayed with me. He slid a folder across the desk. Inside, a job offer. Executive assistant. Mentorship. Full salary. Equity. Room to grow. You gave me something when I had nothing, he said. Let me return the favor. Chapter 5. A new chapter. Maria started the following week. The adjustment was surreal. Her desk overlooked the city. Her emails reached CEOs and international partners. And her boss, the man she once fed, now trusted her with every major decision. But it wasn't just about work. Michael mentored her personally. He taught her business strategy, introduced her to investors, encouraged her to speak at conferences. Soon, people in the company didn't just know her, they respected her. She wasn't just the assistant. She was the future. Chapter 6. The question. One evening, as they locked up the office, Maria asked, "Why me? There are smarter, more qualified people out there. Why take a risk on me?" Michael turned to her. "Because you believed in me when no one else did. And now it's my turn." He paused. "Also, because you don't just work with your head, you lead with your heart. And this world needs more leaders like that." Maria didn't reply. She just smiled. That night, she cried in her car. But for the first time in years, they were happy tears. Chapter 7. Full circle. 3 years later, Maria stood on a stage at a leadership conference. She wore a sleek black suit and a mic in her ear. A crowd of 2,000 watched as she spoke. She told her story, from the park bench to the office tower. And at the end, she said, "I gave a sandwich. He gave me a chance. And together, we built something meaningful." The audience rose in a standing ovation.